The attention of New Central's crew was earlier in the day drawn to a demonstration staged by drivers of some bus rapid transport buses in Lagos. The agreed BRT drivers who downed tools this morning complained about their general working conditions and demanded better treatment from the management. New Central Correspondent Akede was with the drivers in the Oshodi area of Lagos and filed on this report.
Almost as soon as New Central's crew arrives, we were pulled in all directions by aggrieved drivers. The BRT drivers, or captains as they are called, complained bitterly about being poorly treated. They complained about the increased minimum wage not being implemented, as well as not having proper health insurance, amongst other things.
Some of us have not yet go to one leave, just a day. And in our employment letter, we are entitled to 3 weeks. Most of us that go, they give them just 2 weeks without payment.
What happens to our pensions? What happened to the tax we pay that we don't have in tax IDs? And all sort of, they said after 3 months, our salary are going to be increased. Nothing was done. We agitated one morning and 2,000 was added.
On several occasions, we've been privileged to meet with management. We've suggested way forward of which we can both help ourselves. But till date, it has been amendment after amendment.
Our initial attempt to hear from management of the Lagos Bus Service Limited, LBSL, was blocked by the demonstrating drivers who, according to them, didn't want the management to convince us otherwise. Eventually, the managing director of the LBSL approached the captains to address them off camera, but it appeared their grievances had not been fully addressed. What followed was a closed-door meeting between members of the management team and some selected captains. Meanwhile, the absence of the drivers was felt at the bus stops in Lagos. For those that were not empty, a more than usual crowd could be seen queuing up for the available buses. Back at the office, and after over 2.5 hours of deliberation behind closed doors, the MD and his team, alongside the representatives of the captains, eventually emerged from their meeting after reaching a conclusion.
So what happened this morning basically was some sort of misunderstanding from the part of our esteemed drivers, captains as we call them, in terms of the implementation of a new improved salary structure, right? So the management took the initiative to see how the salaries of the captains can be improved to cope with the current economic hardship, right? But I think there was some sort of misunderstanding on the part of some of the captains, but the reality is that their current pay structure has been significantly improved. So the HMO issue, all the captains are covered. It's a Lagos State government law. They all have HMO coverage. 80% of our workforce are blue-collared guys. And so the model is that outsourcing companies should manage them, which is better and easier because they have all the capabilities to deal with that. And, you know, there's also the impression that the company is an agency, as it were, of government or a civil service. The company was incorporated by the Lagos State government as a private limited liability company, as a government intervention in public transportation. So our captains, our staff are not civil servants, right? So that expectation is misguided.
The explanation, like I said before, is understanding and clearance from the initial pronouncement that was made in our meeting that was held before today. So it was just misinterpretation of what we were given. Like I said, and I told some of my colleagues, now with the clearance now, with what was made clear and having been explained to, we all saw it with proof. So that's what we are now carrying out to now tell our rest colleague.
And now that there's better understanding, when is work going to resume?
By the special grace of God, work remains immediately.
One of the representatives from the group that had the closed-door meeting with the management is now addressing the crowd, explaining to them the result of the deliberation and telling them that the basic issue here was misinformation and possibly miscommunication. But if there's anything that we take away from today's drama, is the fact that these captains, as they are called, need to be clearly taken care of because they are in charge of the lives of thousands of Lagosians that ply the BRT buses day in, day out. Bernard Akede, reporting for News Central.